Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Jillian. Woo. So, I'm slowly piecing things together, but since I don't really have the luxury of going back in time and seeing how everything started, I am making hypotheses and guesses based upon the climate of today, with all the different racism and all the different hate groups, and then rumors, and then just even religion. Like religion's like so huge, and I don't know why I've been on this sabbatical of religion, and not like every single day or all the time, but I would say that in my 20s and 30s it was definitely something I needed to explore because there is so much. The religion is so intense. I mean, it's so intense that it causes wars. What about religion is it that causes people to go to war with each other? And it's mind boggling and it's crazy. But I have a theory that I want to share because maybe you might see the connections and understand why things are the way they are today because of what happened millions and millions of years ago. It just gets passed down from generation to generation to generation and generation, and then humanity gets stuck in a loop. Okay, and they repeat the same things, but it works. I mean, but then also too, there's evolution along with that. So what am I talking about? So I'm looking at, like, I was raised Jewish. Okay, so I understand Genesis. Not every single book of Genesis, but we study, like, our book of Moses. But I studied Genesis. I studied different books in Moses, but of the Old Testament. But Genesis was the huge thing. That was like with Passover. That's leaving in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan or something, or going into the land of Canaan. I'm now going back to my Sunday school days. And where the Jews were the slaves of Egypt. And that's why Passover was that, the firstborn, the 10 plagues, all that stuff, right? Which I could probably explain away to natural occurrences or something that was influenced by a higher power. Okay? So, so prehistory. Prehistory is before written history, what influenced man to become so evolved. Who chose which man to become evolved and be a leader of the people, and the rest will be like the slaves or the followers. Okay? And so at some point in history, some group of higher beings decided to genetically manipulate a certain segment of the population and dubbed them to be the leaders of the people. Okay? And so they were called the chosen ones. And so that's what, because I remember my friend Teresa a long time ago, back in the 90s, when I had a best friend back then. We since split apart early on in the 2000s, just differences. But she was talking to my mom one time when we were sitting at the table, and she was saying, yeah, you guys are, you're Jewish. You guys are like the chosen ones. And I'm just like, all right, whatever. I don't even know what precipitated that conversation, but they were talking religion or something. I think Teresa was doing something in psychology, and my mom was helping her out with her homework. So anyways, so she was talking about, the Jews were the chosen ones. And then someone wrote something on a meme about vaccinations. And we know that vaccinations are biomanipulation. And then people saying like, oh yeah, in Israel, if you don't do the vaccines, you're going to get left behind. And I'm just like, interesting. And then it brings me back to then, aliens and genetic manipulation, and then religion. And then why, some cultures, like, why, like, people are like there's cultures out there that are leaders and titans in industry, whether it's banking, whether it's biotech, whether it's any high level industry that is like the backbone of your infrastructure. There are a group of people that, and also in Hollywood, And people have dubbed them to be like, bad and satanic and whatever. And, there's definitely a lot of different practices that go on that happened way back in antiquity that are still probably being practiced today on some level, but it's not really accepted. It's frowned upon. But I think the current climate is like, we don't like these type of practices. So yeah, either they're being phased out or they're being driven more underground. Whatever the case may be is whatever the case may be. But I think that there was a certain percentage of the population that was given biomanipulation, was given evolution way back in antiquity. And it's interesting that how, the slaves of Egypt, well, yeah, I mean, the Anunnaki gave the Pharaoh, gave the people, well, they led the people, and then the people that escaped Egypt then became the chosen ones, the ones to lead the people, you know, in lieu of the Pharaohs, in lieu of who were probably some kind of alien. Okay, so I'm just trying to, I'm going to think about this more so it could be a bit more smoother. But I think there's something within Genesis, within the Old Testament, that is giving clues to how humans actually came about. And, God is some type of alien, okay? And that's why we're seeing now, like, Israel saying that, yeah, there is a galactic federation. Yeah, there is a lot, like, there is a space force type of stuff, right? I mean, we hear Trump talk about that, but he was silenced. He can't talk about it. But look, Star Trek. That happened in the 1960s. Okay, look at, hey, Jose, or everybody. Look at all all the different TV programs regarding space and regarding, sci-fi. It's not really sci-fi. There's nothing science fiction about it. Everything actually is true. And so I think that the Jews were probably the first biomanipulated, evolved human beings. Okay? So, yeah, we had prototypes. We had, like, people. And then, let's say you had 100 people. And 20 were dubbed to be innovated. And so, yeah, they could have been injected or did some kind of manipulation to their genetics. And it caused them to be then very, very smart. And they were given information to figure out how to run a society. Okay? Where you have all the components of society that you see today. Banking, finance, technology, biotech, medicine, this, that. I mean, everything that you see that you study in college is all the logic and reasoning that the Freemasons and the Catholic Church both give and offer in college, but in a compartmentalized way. They were the first group of people that were given this information and were also biomanipulated, were then dubbed to be the leaders of our society. And then you have, the Christians, like Christ, and all, that wanted to diverge from that mentality of sorts of being a slave of sorts, right? And so then that's where the Christians came about, because they were trying to separate themselves, but then in turn become probably, people become intolerant when they don't understand each other, or they have imbalances that are then manifesting, and then beliefs become extremes. And, so I think we all actually are Jewish in a way, but some were given more resources and given more of the evolution than others. But the thing is, with evolution, with so much innovation evolution, when you already think you're going to die, that does actually get exploited to such an extent that it could stop a genetic line. And then that's when resets happen every single 100, 200, 300. Ever since the rise and fall of civilizations, it's been a reset. Because the overexploitation, the over-innovation of any group of people, because even if you have one set of people, like 20 people out of 100 that were really innovated, you still have to innovate your workforce. You still have to get them on board. You can't just have one totally evolved, group of people who are just like, okay, we're really smart, and then you have completely dumb workforce. No, you got to have a relatively smart workforce so they can keep up with your level of invention. And so that's where the vaccinations came from. But the thing is, when you keep innovating, like I said again, over long periods of time, people reproduce on compound predispositions, because the innovation does have different side effects of allergies that do then compound into cancer. Why is cancer such a big thing? Because it's the body that's so malnourished, and cancer is life. It's trying to live. And you have an uneven distribution of life and death in your body. Why death? Because you have atrophy antibodies to make sure that your hand doesn't grow 10 times bigger than every part of your body. So you have a programming that says that your hand and your mouth and all that, everything grows proportional to its usage. Okay? And also if the environment allows it. So anyways, so I think, in prehistory, there were certain segment of people that were chosen to be biomanipulated and were given information from higher beings that then said, okay, now be fruitful and multiply, build your nations, build your civilization. And then the civilizations did that, and they rose and they fell, and they rose and they fell, and they rose and they fell, because yes, they keep trying to perfect how to innovate a population, and they probably made mistakes. I mean, there's Charles Bragg, an artist that showed a tree with boobs. We had that in actually my mom's bedroom when I'd watch TV, and there was that picture. She had all this fine art in the house, and that was one of the pictures was Charles Bragg. God doesn't make mistakes, but he made this mistake here. But yeah, I mean, the aliens or God made mistakes, okay? And so that's the only thing I can see why, things in the past rose and fell. Like, what would rise and fall? Well, viruses, yes. Viruses, harnessing electricity, using it. Bodies and people are being used for sacrifices. I mean, yes, there's probably different alien races out there, okay, that some are good and some, like the Pleiadians, and then there's some that are maybe kind of bad, like maybe some parts of the reptilians. I don't know. And that's where the whole reptilian brain comes from, is where you are always living from a baser level instinct. Not say that you're a reptile, but it's a type of relationship to the world that your ability to take in new concepts have made you more of a ditch digger and a rule follower and just someone that just takes orders, that doesn't really innovate. Really, they have made some creativity because of just what they're focusing on and what they were trained for, but anything outside of the realm of existence is too hard to penetrate. You couldn't really bring in new information other than just expounding on what they already know. So I think that's the reptilian brain, and that's probably what was not innovated. So when people say, oh yeah, the Jews and the Gentiles, and why do you have, the separation of Jews and Gentiles? Well, yeah, I mean, everything stems back from prehistory, stems back from way in the beginning, way before the Bible even happened, while the Bible was being written. Okay, and so then now you're seeing the whole alien thing coming to surface, slowly but surely. The TV shows and all that stuff have conditioned us to see, okay, there probably is a lot more life than we expect out there, and there's probably different civilizations. Okay, and then of course they made, that guy, what's his name? Oh gosh, well, I mean, there's Spock, and then his friend he's always hanging out with, who's the Lothario of the universe. He's always betting some alien, out there. I forget his name. William Shatner. Okay, it's always Shatner who was like, the lover of the universe. And so they've made this history of humanity more palatable in TV shows. And then I'm watching like Netflix, and they're like, they're making jokes like, Space Force with Jim Carell and other really, really funny people. And so I think that we're slowly getting conditioned to understand truly where we came from. And then, of course, yes, biotech. And that's why people are going after the vaccines, too. But they don't realize that when you have, like they did back in antiquity, when civilizations rose and fell, so much innovation on a body that is losing energy on the back end is not going to take very well. Okay? Some people will take to the innovation because they don't have as much of a leak on the back end, like leaky gut. And some people won't. Some people will have so much innovation, and their body isn't, the body isn't retaining resources to actually strengthen the bonds of their blood vessels and their vital organs. And so that actual potential of a new virus, a vaccine, or any electricity like the grid is going to cause so much energy that it's going to then wear and then break the bonds, wear the bonds away and break it, and then cause deluge, aneurysms, heart attacks, all that stuff that people don't survive from, like organ failure. Okay? And so So this is why, people are thinking that we're in some kind of depopulation, because we know that all of our scientists and well, not all of them, but all the people that run our world that have been privy to this knowledge, they probably know why civilizations rose and fell. You can create a small little civilization in fast and time with mice. That's what they did in behavioral sync. They gave it, from John B. Calhoun, 1972 ethologist, who did an experiment with 3,000 mice. And he had them fed. It was a utopian society. Took away disease, took away the predators, gave them everything they could possibly want. And then what happened is that over time, that the mice were breeding. Okay, there were certain periods where they were breeding, and then they would cordon off to their different sections with different, with their like-minded people, and some would be attacked, others would be just like solitary and beautiful, and they avoided the masses, and others would be by themselves, others would glom together. He noticed that they were eating a lot more together. Some used up more resources in this area than this area. So he was seeing really like a bird's eye view of humanity in a dense population, and then what would happen at the end when you keep that dense population going. Well, they eventually cannibalize each other. But why would that happen? Because when you keep procreating on bodies that have not, if you keep tweaking a genome to get rid of the symptoms, to kind of keep you in a cured state, the body's still in decline. There's still electricity, the body's still working to keep it alive. There's energy still being used, even when you're not moving, energy is being used. Just to keep your heart pumping, energy is being used. So you're using energy every single day. But when you're losing so much on the back end, and even the food that you eat does maybe keep you alive for another day, but you're losing more than you're retaining, and then the body is going, then maybe there's an upsurge of electricity, like someone kicks your ass, or because they're bullying you, and then you're using so much electricity, and then that's taking more resources out of your body. So the body's cannibalizing the heart and the lungs and everything else. And then cancer comes in, and then bad behaviors, and then the mice or the people, whatever, they kick each other's ass, and then they kill each other, and then then the whole civilization falls. Behavioral sync is exactly probably what happened when the days of antiquity, when civilizations like the Aztecs, the Incas, all those really, like, way back, well, I'm trying to think of all the different, like the Olmecs and all that, they rose and fell because of so much overpopulation. And why is overpopulation when you have so much earth? Because it's how you are populating the earth and with what type of people and the balance within the population. And so when you have more people that are on disability, and more people that are dying, more people that are contracting cancer, disease, and chronic illness, not contributing, they're using more than they're using more than they're actually contributing. Yeah, then there's the haves and the have-nots, and then they get jealous of each other. Then you have the different, belief systems and politics, and then someone gaslighting you, and then people are going off into their different factions, and it's just like, it just becomes like, there's no peace. You're always looking over your shoulder because someone's stupid out there. And so that's why we are where we are. And so if you want to really bring everything back, why do you think certain cultures run certain industries? Because it's been happening for freaking millions of years. Now you have a chance to actually level the playing field and be on the same level. Okay? But you have to deal with your pain. Because any innovation someone gets, let's say like Jose or somebody else, any innovation you get, you can really release that innovation by using your words, by releasing your antibodies, and someone else will pick it up. They'll pick up the antibodies, pick up your words, and then they will evolve. You don't necessarily have to get a vaccine or get, specific manipulations, because all you gotta do is change the environment. Release the virus. Let everyone figure out how to deal with the evolution, and deal with the pain of all the years and years and years of anomalies that were never corrected. And you could have everyone be like the one culture that was chosen to lead the world. And America is a microcosm of probably what happened years and years and years and years and years ago. And so I'm just like, it's freaking fascinating. It's freaking fascinating. Okay? I mean, I'm not saying that every single person out there that are in these titans of industry are perfect. No. When they say God make mistakes, yeah, the aliens made mistakes too with their prototypes. They probably had to do it a few times to figure out the perfect human to be able to lead a group of people who are procreating, who are very, very reptilian brained, that needed innovation, needed direction, needed instruction, needed school, needed parents, and needed a community to direct and keep the peace within the community so you can have a working, functioning community so you don't have to be nomadic. We were all nomadic at one point. Okay? And so I think everybody is probably, and I think everyone's probably Jewish in some way. Some were given more of the manipulations and took to it and didn't reject it. Others probably like, no, I don't want that manipulation. So then probably that's probably what happened is some people rejected the manipulation. And so then they went into their own factions. They weren't very innovative. They weren't, leading society. So whoever was leading society probably was very innovative, and the people that didn't want to be innovative were probably resenting those who are really innovative. So right now I see the same thing that probably happened hundreds, millions of years ago. But I understand why it happens. Evolution is difficult. Evolution is painful. If you can handle evolution, you will be so fucking smart, whether it's through a vaccine, whether it's taken to the virus in the environment without fearing it. And then you'll see a bigger picture. You'll be on the level of those that gave you the information gave your predecessors the information a long time ago. Okay, so I'm sure I came from a genetic line of who knows what. I say Genghis Khan because he was probably the most prolific lover out there. Well, he wasn't really spreading love. He's spreading a lot of bad stuff. But he was like all over the continent. I'm sure, I'm probably some Genghis Khan DNA because I come from Asia. But, so it's just like what goes on today probably happened a long time ago. So if you can see outside of all the politics of the day and look at history and understand why religion is so intense, it's because, there's definitely belief systems and there's reasons why some people are in the control positions because they've been in control for years, but they needed to be because we have so many people that don't know how to control themselves or imbalance. They need guidance. Where do you think you got your ability to live in a house and have your kids and have some kind of schooling and have your modern conveniences? It was because somebody was able to keep the peace in society and have it be so balanced and organized that you can go to school to learn how to build a washing machine so you can wash your clothes. So you can go to school and learn how to defend somebody in a court of law when someone does something to somebody else. I mean, that's where all this came from, is the people that run our society have given us all the different checks and balances. That no, they're not perfect, but at least they're there and they can always be tweaked and re-examined. Okay? So, now I gotta put that in my book. Holy crap. Okay. Well, anyways, I'm going to do my stuff, but I wanted to put that out there around prehistory. And it's not perfect as far as me rolling it out, my thought process, but I'm now kind of grappling with it. And I can understand now why America is what she is, why people don't like the King and Queen of England, or the Queen of England and the Freemasons, why they were dubbed to be like, weird or something like that, and even though Christianity is huge, so are the Jews and the Freemasons, and the Muslims are it's all the Judeo-Christian world is a Semitic world that came from antiquity, okay? And I think everybody comes from the Semitic world. The reason why people separate themselves is because of geographical locations, because of the melanin in their skin and then their belief systems taught to them in that geographical location. So nobody is really better or worse. Some people are just more evolved than others, but here you're given now opportunities to be evolved, and some of you choose not to be, and some of you choose to be, and then when you choose to be evolved, someone resents you for that. I see it already. I choose to be evolved, and guess what? I have haters. I have haters. Well, what do you think the Jews back when they were given the opportunity and everyone else is given the opportunity? Here, you want to be a leader? Here, do this or take this. Who knows what the aliens or whoever, did to evolve the people back then in antiquity. But somebody inevitably resented that, didn't want to deal with it. They saw how much pain people were going through was through the evolution. They said, screw that. I'm not going to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. And then there are the haters. So trolls happened back in days of antiquity. And that's why the holy wars, that's why people, that's why they probably, nailed Jesus to the cross, because he was speaking something that people were like hating him for. Okay? Because he was highly evolved. So highly evolved people who actually take to the evolution will be hated by those that are not. And so today is no different than those way back when. And so if you look at today, you can kind of see what happened in antiquity and prehistory. Okay, I gotta think about this more. Well, that's good to know. I'm gonna go drink some coffee. All right, that's all I gotta say. All right, bye.